ever be. No matter what comes our way, we'll be together.
Welcome to Homeschooling Down South. I'm Kayla.
And I'm Kat. We're two Southern homeschooling mamas sharing real talk, resources, and inspiration for life and learning in the Southeast.
Each week, it's summer, y'all, and we're breaking the rules and shaking things up a little bit.
That's right. We're right here in your feed each week, but our summer season has a different flavor.
So whether you're listening on summer vacation or chilling by the pool, we are sharing homeschooling conversations to refresh and inspire.
Pull up a chair and join us as we keep celebrating the joy, freedom, and community of homeschooling down south, summer style. Welcome back, everyone, to the second episode in our recap of our time at the Southeast Homeschool Expo in July of 2026. We talked last week about our experience as exhibitors for the first time, and we're going to share a little bit of our experience as presenters of workshops. And that was also our first time doing that. And we're going to dish about it a little bit because we're still celebrating that we had this cool experience.
Yeah. And that I didn't pass out in the middle of a session, because that was a very real possibility.
I don't even think you blacked out, right?
I don't. I remember everything, which is amazing.
That is amazing, because we did a presentation together somewhere else, and you did feel like you had blacked out.
I did. Yeah, I don't remember any of that. But I was very nervous, and I spent a lot of time praying because I am not a public speaker, she says, as she talks into a microphone, hoping that people will listen. But I'm doing it from the comfort of my home, and I don't have to see anyone who's listening. So I would rather you give me a script and I can play a part. I would love that. But outside of that, public speaking is not my jam. And so you are very confident behind a podium, which I'm grateful for.
I did speech and debate in college. And if there's any nerves, that'll drill them right out of you. Because I did theater in high school, and I felt the same way up until my speech and debate experience. Like, I can be a character, but I don't want to be me and everybody's looking at me while I'm talking. But this is very different. I've done a ton of public speaking, and podcasting from our homes is very different than standing up in public speaking. So it's fair. It's fair to say I love podcasting, but public speaking makes me nervous.
Well, and it also, there's a level of pressure. People are coming. I know what I go into workshops looking for, what I need. And it was like, people are going to come to our workshop looking for something, and I have to deliver. And or I think I did say to you, because our first session was on Friday morning at 9 a.m. And I said, hey, listen, it's 9 a.m. Nobody knows who we are. It's okay if nobody comes. It's not a big deal. We're okay.
And then we ran out. We ran out of handouts by one. So I would call that a packed house. So yeah. And I think when you go to conferences and you've been to workshops, you have an expectation of the quality of the workshops. And so I think we just both felt convicted to deliver on a quality that was both up to our standards, but also that would do service to this amazing Southeast Homeschool Expo that we've both attended for 3 years prior. And we wanted to do well by this platform and represent them well and not let anyone down, especially because we mentioned in the first episode that we were mentored by Jennifer Henn, and she gave us a ton of encouragement about exhibiting, but it was the presentations that she really dove in and got in the weeds with us and helped us figure out what we were bringing that could add value to the workshop schedule. And she really mentored us through that process. And we're just so grateful because I think the workshops went really well.
Yeah, they did. And we should go ahead and just get it out there. If you attended this year's Southeast Homeschool Expo and you've attended before, you know things looked a lot different this year. And so we want to acknowledge that we were there. We know.
Yeah. If you attended for the first time this year, we want to help explain how things are different for the future, because we hope you're going to come back, because it's such an important weekend for your homeschool. And so we hope you're going to come back. And if you've never been, but you heard about things, we just want to talk about it really candidly. Yeah.
Yeah. From the perspective of people who have attended this conference multiple times, and we would have attended this year if we weren't participating. So the situation is this conference happens at the Cobb Convention Center, formerly known as the Cobb Galleria. And everybody knew last year, hey, they're doing some renovations. 2026's conference is going to look a little different. We're not going to be in these same spaces. We're not going to be in these breakout rooms for the workshops because it's going to be under construction. We knew that. So what they did this year is they halved the exhibit hall. So there weren't as many vendors, and half of the exhibit hall was the vendors, but the other half, they used pipe and drape to portion out 10 workshop rooms. And that's what it was. And so, yes, you were contending with the noise from the exhibit hall. There was also tiny human wrestlers from all across these United States in the exhibit hall next door. So referee whistles were going off repeatedly. So there were some challenges. And I really do believe that they were doing the best with the space that we were given. And I think I said to Leah St. Denis at one point, I mean, the option is we either do it this way or we don't have the expo this year. So I would rather just do it this way so that we do have the expo.
Yeah. And they could have done just the exhibit hall. But as we'll get into, there's so much richness in the workshops. And so to just take away half of what the expo is and only have the exhibit hall, there's some really important interactions that couldn't have happened and information given that you just can't say in your booth necessarily what you can say in 45 minutes of a workshop. So the other option would be to have half the expo and not have the workshops, but they're so important that I think it was worth it to deal with the challenges and know that it's never going to be like that again. Because the rooms before were beautiful. And so if they're renovating, the new rooms that you could have a meeting or a workshop or a session in, they're going to be amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. And so we want to encourage you, if you attended this year and did not enjoy some aspects of that, it's not going to be like that next year. Please come back. Even if for some reason, which I hope that we will be there in the same capacity as we were this year, but even if for some reason we're not, we'll still be there as attendees because we believe in this expo. We love it and we want to see it flourish. But also, if this was your first year and you're like, whoa, this is not what I was expecting, great. It wasn't what any of us were expecting, and it won't be like that next year. But you know what? One, I think the difference in the workshop rooms maybe lessened my nerves a little bit.
For sure, yeah.
But two, we still had some really amazing conversations with people. In fact, I had a woman come up to me after our Finding Community session, and she said, look, I don't know who you guys are. I've never listened to your podcast, but something drew me to this session, and this is exactly what the Lord needed me to hear today. And if that was the only one, then great. Mission accomplished. We did what we came to do, but it wasn't the only one.
Right. Yeah. We had some amazing interactions. And I almost think in some ways, maybe the challenges encouraged people to come up and have one-on-one conversations because they maybe needed to clarify something or they just wanted to be able to talk without the challenges. So I don't think it ends up being a bad thing. I think it's just a different thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So we did 3 sessions, and our first one, like we've mentioned before, was at 9 a.m. on Friday, and it was Exploring Down South. And while we're not going to give away a whole lot of spoilers, because if you would like us to come speak at your event, we don't want everybody to have already heard what we speak about. But if you missed it and you're like, man, I really wanted to hear what they talked about, we specifically highlighted 4 places that we felt like were super top notch. And when people came up to us and told us, oh my gosh, I missed your 9 a.m., I really wanted to be there, we told them, go listen to these 4 episodes because you will get the gist of it.
Yep.
And so those were our episode on Chattanooga Audubon Society, our episode on the Georgia State Parks, our episode on Red Clay State Historic Park, and our episode on Tuesdays in the Field at the Georgia Aquarium.
Yep. So anything that we said about those places in our session, we said on the podcast. So go listen to those episodes. You didn't miss a thing. And because we know it was raining and I-75 we heard there was an accident. And so then it was shut down. And so people who wanted to come didn't make it to that one. And then, of course, when you go to one of these expos or conferences, oftentimes you want to go to sessions at the same time and you have to pick one. And so we'll highlight a couple things about our other sessions as well. So our
Yeah.
second session on Friday, we talked about just how innovative homeschooling communities are and can be, but they don't all look the same. And so then we ran through some of the communities that we've either gotten to explore ourselves or we talked to people who are creating those communities in our area. And we highlighted a bunch from the podcast. We highlighted Unite Homeschool Network. We highlighted Adventures Homeschool Co-op. We highlighted both of our conversations with Wild and Free leaders, Jesse Fagerstrom and Sarah Peed. We also talked about some of the cool programs that people are putting on for homeschoolers, like Excalibur STEM Solutions offerings and Read Write Creates offerings, and that you might find community in these interest-based opportunities. And of course, we talked about our field trips. We did a couple last year, but we are so excited this year to be taking a group of people to Red Clay State Historic Park. There are still spots, so you can go to our website, homeschoolingdownsouth.com, and click on the field trips tab, and you can sign up to join us. That is going to be a really cool field trip. We just talked about it. It was one of our favorite spots that we highlighted in the Exploring Down South session. But one of the ways that we're working to build community is through these field trips.
And our third session was on canceling the comparison because we know the comparison game is so strong. And we talked a lot about ways to stop doing that. And we were talking as much to ourselves as we were to everyone else.
It's a constant reminder.
Yes. But at the end of each session, every session, we had people come up to us and say, thank you so much for this reminder, or thank you so much for this idea, or man, I just really needed to hear that today. Just appreciate that so much. And it was just lovely because you wonder sometimes, is this going to resonate with anybody? Does this matter to anybody? Well, I don't want it to just be surface level. I want it to be deeper. I want it to sink in and I want it to fill someone's cup. And I think that we did. I think we did that.
Yeah. Yeah. And in that session, we got to feature 2 other episodes from friends of the podcast. We featured some words of wisdom because we need to still let those who have wisdom to share about homeschooling pour into us without comparing. So we shared words of wisdom from the episode with Kathy Eggers and from the episode with Amber O'Neill Johnston. And that was a cool one because at the end of that session, there was a group of friends sitting together and we learned about some cool things they're doing, and they're going to hopefully come on the podcast. We did make some connections through speaking, which was cool, that are going to be future podcast episodes, whether it was other speakers that we were passing the room back and forth with, or just people who noticed that we were on the speaking schedule and we had conversations, and then we found out that they'd be great for the podcast. So it was as much an open door for season 2 episodes as the exhibit hall has been for us, which was cool. It was really cool.
Yeah, it was really neat. And I really think that I know that the situation was kind of crazy this year. But for me personally, I think it was a great way to start it off because I got my feet wet with the speaking thing without it feeling too high pressure. And so I actually am excited. I hope to be able to do more of that. And I think I won't necessarily be as nervous because I made it through and I didn't pass out. So.
And it was so memorable. We will never forget that year that we
had a guitar serenading us at one point. The lights were going up and down at one point.
Yeah. And we did it. We still resonated with people. We still connected with people. We still blessed people's homeschools. And that is a super cool outcome.
Yeah, it was neat. And it was lovely that we had our friend Whitney there, like we talked about in the last episode, to stay at our booth while we presented because she just took so much of the mental load off. There was no stress about, oh my gosh, we got to get back to the booth right away. And Kat, of course, built our sessions because she is the writer extraordinaire of this duo. And I could never. And so she built it in a way we knew we would finish early. 1, so that we would have time to stand around and chat with people. But 2, I've been in sessions where a presenter is still speaking and the other presenter is coming in trying to like get situated and then everything kind of gets thrown off. And so we didn't want that to happen. We wanted to make sure we could clear out and be done. And granted, they did space things out a little wider this year, which I think was awesome because it did allow for just easier transitions and not like stressful transitions.
Yeah. Breathing room.
So Yeah, that was lovely to be able to, connect with people in a chill environment and not have to rush out and be like, look, just come back to the booth and we'll talk,
Yeah. And the other thing that we hope we'll get to present places again, and I think something that we hope becomes a signature of our workshops, is that we really want them to feel like workshops and give time in the session to do some work, not because we're trying to give you an assignment, but because I think that a lot of the things we're talking about, people just don't feel like they have time to look up communities in their area or look up the homeschool day at the place that they want to go or write the inquiry to the co-op leader to find out if they have space this upcoming year or unfollow people on social media that make you feel the ick. And so we said, we're going to give you some time and space. We had things for kiddos to do. If they were attending the workshop, or if you didn't have your kids with you, there's one distraction, beautiful distraction, wonderful distraction, but that is set aside. There's no laundry going off. There's no dinner that needs to be made. There's no package being delivered at the door. Just sit here for a minute and have some space to do these things that they're not complicated. It's not rocket science, but you just don't have the mental capacity in an average day to do. And we're just going to gift you some time. So I hope that we'll get to speak places again and that becomes something that you all know us for, that we're going to gift you some time to do some tasks related to whatever we're talking about.
And I think that's one of the things that's really cool about going from being an attendee of conferences to this, because there were things that we did and things that were important to us because we've sat in sessions. And like Jesse Fagerstrom's session is so immersive and so interactive, and we loved that. And so we wanted to make sure we had some aspect of that in ours. And then we have both been in sessions where there have been mothers who their attention is clearly divided because they have their kids with them or they've had to step out with their kids. And so one of the other things that we had discussed was we need something for the kids to do. And we even set up a little reading nook. Here's some books. Here's a blanket and a pillow. They want to come sit and read a book. If they want to color, we're going to give your kids something to keep them occupied so that you can focus. And Kat had even mentioned before we fully knew what the situation was going to be, that during the time where we give the attendees time to sit down and put into action what we've been talking about, she'd even said, I will go sit in the reading nook and read to the kids so that they really have something capturing their attention. And my husband's in the military, and I've always said that some of the best officers that he's worked with are officers that were enlisted first. Not that we haven't had some great officers who weren't, but because they knew what the enlisted life was like. And I kind of felt that way a little bit. We know what we want as attendees, and so we're going to try to give you that as presenters and make your experience in our workshop something really good.
Yeah. We want you to walk away with an action item completed or that you feel really empowered and motivated to head off and do. So that's something that we hope to keep doing when we get to see y'all out at expos and conferences, hopefully in the future.
Yeah. Well, do you have a win from our time as presenters?
Yeah. So because we were giving presentations about homeschooling, we shared, just a little quick intro about each of ourselves at the beginning. And after our first session, a woman came up to me and wanted to talk about homeschooling one child, having an only child. And I don't talk about it a lot on the podcast. And I think that this is probably true sometimes for having two children. People will say, oh, you just have one. The same way that they'll say, oh, you're just a mom or you just stay at home. And that word just over time starts to chip away and cause some pain. And it's often hard in the homeschooling community to feel like you're enough, like you're enough of a mother, homeschooling enough to warrant being a part of the community at all, let alone a leader in it or a voice in it. And this woman came up and was vulnerable and asked for my advice. And I realized I had some. And I was able to share some things with her that I've learned and that have helped me to feel comfortable and confident and like I belong in this homeschooling community and like I do matter and have things to say. And it was just cool to connect. She's also a boy mom, so it was cool to connect with another mom of a single child and encourage her and lift her up and have that time for a one-on-one conversation and really pour into her. And she poured back into me as well. And it was really cool. And those kinds of things have been happening more and more. And just like getting encouragement as a mom of one has been happening more recently. And I just felt really blessed by that conversation. I don't know that it was a win exactly, but it was what I needed. And I didn't go to the weekend expecting to have that conversation. And so it caught me by surprise and was really sweet and special and something I'll cherish for a really long time. How about you? Any wins from speaking that you didn't black out or pass out, of course, but I knew you weren't going to. So I need a different win.
Yes, besides the fact that I stayed upright. Well, I think I have two, and one is an intrinsic personal one. I think I gained some confidence. And I think that the Lord used this to remind me that, like, hey, I understand that you don't feel qualified to do this. That does not matter. I have asked you to do it. Just do it, and I will handle the rest. Because that first session, that 9 a.m. session, when people started coming in, you, me, and Whitney had a little group chat, and I just texted the group chat, all caps, people came. I just need to leave that right here. People came. We don't have to worry about who's there or why they're there or how many people are there or whatever. We just have to do the thing that the Lord called us to do, and He'll take care of the rest. And so that leads me into my broader win. At the end of our canceling the comparison one, which that was the workshop that I felt I was most like squirrely in, which then made me disappointed because that was the one I was the most excited about. And so I was just kind of in my feels about it. And this woman came up at the end and she looked so familiar to me. I know I have seen her before, but I can't figure out where. And she said, I really don't think I struggle with the comparison thing. And as I was listening, I was like, yeah, like all this is absolutely true. I just don't struggle with this. But then you said the thing about raising adults. And I just really needed that reminder. And the thing I had said, which I've said on the podcast before, we're not raising kids, we're raising adults. We have children. We are raising them to be adults. And she was saying, we forget sometimes that that's the goal, is for them to be these successful, flourishing adults. And she was like, my adult kids are really cool people. And I think I forget to celebrate that. I think I forget to acknowledge that win. Like, I think I forget to be like, no, you did the good job. You did the good work. Your kids are really cool. And she was like, I needed that reminder. That wasn't even the basis of the presentation, but the Lord still found a way to use me to speak to somebody. And that is what I prayed over every session. Was, our pastor at church always has us pray on Sunday mornings. Like he'll say, pray that I will get out of the way and just let the Holy Spirit speak. And that is what I prayed over each of our sessions, was just get us out of the way, let it be completely Holy Spirit led, and let whoever's in the room hear what they're supposed to hear. And so that was a really cool moment for me. Just reminders, little God winks.
Yeah.
That what we are doing matters.
It was cool to bless people and encourage them and lift them up. And in turn, that blessed us both in our booth and in our workshops. It was such a good weekend.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It was amazing. It was amazing. And if it was as amazing as we experienced with all the renovations and all the things, I cannot fathom what next year's expo is going to be like. So we really, really hope that you all will come, and we'll be there in one capacity or another.
Absolutely.
Well, Kat, when we are not conferencing and having the time of our lives, where can the people find you?
I'm at Recreating Camp on Facebook and Instagram. And when you are not blacking out and not passing out while we're presenting, where can the people find you?
You can find me at @ScratchMadeSimple_ on Instagram and at @ScratchMadeSimple on TikTok. And of course, you can find us on all the socials at Homeschooling Down South. And if you know of an expo that we need to know about, or maybe we need to be at, or if you have an event in your homeschool community that you would like us to come be a part of, please email us at hello@homeschoolingdownsouth.com. You can find all of our merch, our learning guides on our website, homeschoolingdownsouth.com, under the shop tab. And if you enjoyed this episode, please give us a rating and review wherever you're listening. It really helps us out. And you guys, we have one more episode and our summer series is over and we're headed into season 2.
Woo, woo.
So exciting.
So next week, come back and hear all about us getting back to it.
Yeah. Yep. What does back to school look like for us? We'll tell you all about it.
So we'll see y'all next week.
Bye, y'all.
And we'll love together, we'll learn together, explore this whole wide world together. matter where we are. I have you, you have me, and today that's all we